All right, you were previously asked to explain the flow of energy in the food chain. Okay. So hopefully you tried your very best and you were able to look at this food chain and analyze it. Okay. And then importantly, write it in a nice flowing paragraph using vocabulary words, using transition words. Okay. So when you look at this sample of a food chain, okay, you don't want to leave the lovely sun out. Okay. Because the sun is what drives that beginning process of a food chain. Okay. And those arrows are representing who's getting the energy next. Okay, so just like reading a book, you're reading it left to right. So when you look at it, hopefully you saw the sun is giving energy to the plant. They do not care on the state test if you know the name of the plant. Okay, just identify it as the plant, or more specifically, the producer. Okay, then we follow that arrow to the right, and then this would be our first consumer. Consume means to eat, to take in energy. That plant is not consuming energy from the sun, ladies and gent. The plant is the producer. Okay? We don't call that plant a consumer. That first consumer is the worm because it's actually eating. What is it eating? That plant. Okay, then follow that arrow. The next consumer is bird one. Okay, if you know the name of the bird, awesome. Again, they don't care if you know the name, they're not going to take off points for that. So that bird one is eating the worm. Yes, it's a consumer, and because it's eating a worm, okay, it's either an omnivore or carnivore, but that's not what they're asking. Okay, we're explaining that flow of the energy. It's asking who's that bird getting energy from? It is our second consumer. Then at the top of the food chain is bird two. Okay, we call this the tertiary consumer, also known as the third consumer. Okay, because that worm is our first consumer, bird one is our second consumer, bird two is our tertiary or third consumer. Yes, when you look at this, I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 organisms making up that food chain. Okay, but the producer is not a consumer. So when I turn this into a flowing paragraph, I would say the flow of energy starts from the sun, who gives it to a plant, also known as a producer. They love when you incorporate vocabulary words on that test. They love it to show your understanding. Next, so I'm beginning with a nice transition word followed by my comma. The worm is our first consumer who gets that should say gets energy from the plant. Then the bird is the secondary consumer who gets energy from the worm. Lastly, the brown bird gets energy from the red bird and will be our tertiary consumer. So when it's asking to explain the flow of energy in the food chain, they're not asking you if it's a herbivore, carnivore, omnivore. It's asking you the direction that that energy is flowing as we are going left to right. So we don't want to go right to left. We always start in a food chain with the sun, and the sun always drives that energy through photosynthesis to our producer, who are plants. Okay, if you tried hard and it's pretty similar to my example, you're good to go. If not, please make sure you're filling that in and changing your paragraph so that it accurately reflects the answer in front of you.